Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? It is Kathy, and I love to be selling. Come on in, everybody. Come in, come in, come in, and let me know how you're doing. It is a warm, sunny, and lovely day here in New York City, and I just want to hear how all of you guys are doing. So let me know how you are. Just comment below so I know that you can hear me. And what I'm going to be doing is doing a quick tech check to see you guys, and then we're going to get right to it because I was at a really, really cool, pun intended, because it's so warm here, e-commerce conference this past weekend. Um, and it was in New Jersey. I'm in New York City, if you don't know. So hi from New York City. It was great. A multi-channel conference called Solstice, if you haven't heard of it. Um, and I learned a lot. And the interesting thing was two of the top speakers, um, they came at it from a different angle, but they both really banged this home, and that's what I want to share with you. But let me just quickly make sure everybody can hear me, and then we will get right to it. And I just want to see if I can see everybody. Okay, good. We got comments, so I know you guys are live. Good. Hey, Joseph, how are you? Hey, Joe, and I see Scott. Oh, oh, good. You got the notifications. Yes, yes, yes. I have a chat bot, and I'll put a link in so you guys can subscribe. I'm learning all these things. But I have a chat bot if you're listening to me on Facebook where you can get notified when I'm going live. So thanks, Scott. I'm glad you got that. Yay, Melissa. Hi. Sunny, Ohio. I bet that's great. You're in the dentist's office, Thomas. Okay, good. Well, I appreciate you watching me from the dentist's office. Hey, Josh, hot Alabama. I bet it is down south. And Joe's in New Jersey. Good to see you, Joe. Always, always, always. Good. So we got Peggy coming in from Texas. Good. Everybody's coming in. So come on in and get settled. So where I was at was a conference called Solstice. It's done by Sam Cohen. He's Amazon Consulting Experts. It's a multi-channel conference. And if you're new to eBay selling, I don't recommend going a multi-channel conference. If you're new to eBay selling, just like if you're new to Amazon selling, you would want to go to a conference that's specifically for you. So for like eBay, we've got eBay Open coming up in July. That's a perfect conference. Good for intermediate and advanced sellers. But it's good when you're first learning just to focus in on one platform and just listen to speakers that are teaching about that platform, where you can sort of run into the shiny object syndrome and sort of go, oh, I want this and I want this, I want this. And you get distracted and then you don't get a lot done. But if you've been selling for a while, I love, love, love going to multi-channel conferences because sellers that are on different platforms are going to come at selling from a slightly different angle, and they may emphasize things from a slightly different angle, or they use language that I'm not used to hearing. I mean, to them, it's typical of what they talk about, but it may not be the way eBay sellers or eBay presenters talk about things. So I love it. And I also just love meeting sellers and hanging out with sellers and talking selling and talking promoting. And it was great, great, great for them. So it was very interesting. And it's the first, I think it was the first two presenters who were sellers, talked about this, which is to really look at automation. And I sort of went, because I fulfill my own orders. I'm thinking, oh, we're going to talk about warehouses. Not that I'm anti-warehouse. I think it's great, but it's not my business model. And it wasn't. So they really talked about automation and looking at your business to see what you can automate, and also to think about what can I simplify. So this is useful information also in case you're tuning me out. It doesn't matter if you're beginning, intermediate, or an advanced seller. This is a topic that is good to look at, and I would do it quarterly, to look at your business. And you have a business whether you're part-time or full-time. I'm not from the school of, oh, you have to be a full-time seller for it to be a business. Being a business means you have a business mindset. You're looking at your profit and loss. You're looking at your expenses and how much money you're making. You're running it like a business. You're not just sort of like, oh, I'm just, doing whatever. Okay. That you're thinking about what you're doing, tracking your results. So what I did was I thought about the parts of a selling business. And you might have more than this, and you might have this, but these are some ideas I jotted down. Shipping, sourcing, and that can be a lot of different ways to get inventory, as simple as cleaning out your closet. And there's a lot of ways to get inventory. Social media, you're going to be promoting your items on social media. Learning, listening to videos like this. reading. There's a lot of different ways, but I'm going to eBay Open, going to the conference I was just at, you know, taking time out of my week, my month to learn. I'm willing to learn. Listing. And listing for most of us is a huge part of our time, okay? Because I put under listing, I put pictures, so that'd be taking pictures and then labeling pictures. For some people, it's going to be editing and cropping their pictures. Measurements, you're going to be needing to take measurements. And a big part of listing is the research you need to do. So again, the topic being automation or streamlining, and then looking at the different parts of our business. Because sometimes, especially as a solopreneur, which means it's pretty much just you, it might be you and a family member, or maybe, you know, you and an intern, you know, you and an app, but it's basically you, which is a lot of sellers, is that we'll get so caught in our daily routine that we don't take 10 minutes out of the week or 15 minutes out of the month or an hour out of the month to take a look at the different parts of our business and the processes, because we all have processes. You just may not be aware of what your process is. So a big part of the listing process, which has several portions, is the research that you need to do. And research can take a few minutes or it can be much more extensive. And obviously when you're sourcing, when you're buying things, you're going to be doing a certain amount of research to decide whether to buy the item or not. But then there's additional research that you do when you go to list the item. You want to, again, double check the prices, but also see what is going to help you to get better sales in formatting and doing your listing. And again, keeping it tied into streamlining and having it a very even flow and possibly outsourcing. Take a look at all the aspects to researching successful listings and putting up successful listings on eBay. And part of that is the words or the language, the keywords that we use in our listings. And this really popped out at me. So it was interesting to listen to these guys at the conference talk about, you know, streamlining and really being aware of how your time is spent. You know, and certainly listings is a huge part of a lot of eBay sellers' time. But this is something that I just noticed as far as item specifics. It's also called aspects. If you're talking to eBay staff, they call it aspects. And let me just show you this because I found this on eBay. So hang on a second. Here we go. Okay. So it's called aspects or item specifics. It's also called keywords. And of course, my screen is going black. That's lovely. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Oh, there we go. Oh, good. Okay, here we go. So here we go. What you want to do is get to, it's called eBay Newsroom. You can just Google eBay Newsroom, our news, press room, and you'll land on this. And there's always a lot of interesting stories. And again, keep an eye on the clock because, you know, part of research and learning is you don't want to spend all day here. But this is the kind of thing I do regularly to stay on top of what is going on eBay. And this came out because eBay recently, in case you didn't know, recently had a developers conference, okay? And they talked about APIs, and APIs, eBay shares its data with various developers that are developing apps and programs for us sellers, okay? So you read this article, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 about logging in, different things they're doing, volume pricing, offers to buyer. And this one is one that you might over. Aspect guidance in taxonomy. Taxonomy is the eBay selling categories. eBay updated the taxonomy API. So again, this is available to developers and trading API to provide guidance on important item specifics that are required. This is our listings, you guys, recommended and optional for sellers to add into their listings. So this information, this aspect guidance, this keyword guidance, this item specific guidance is about important item specifics that eBay requires, that eBay recommends, or is optional for us to put into our listings. Okay, why do I care about this? There are required item specifics in some categories. And if you're in those categories, electronics is one that jumps out. You're well aware of it because they require you to put that into the listing before you can list. Our guidance to sellers, get this, is intended to boost the listing visibility. So suggested item specifics, or when you go to fill in the item specifics, that guidance is there. And I know sometimes it's a little strange, but the guidance is there because it helps, I'm underlining this, you guys, to boost our items visibility. The algorithms, which is, eBay at work, uses filled in item specifics from these 3 classifications, and those are required, recommended, and optional, and I'm going to underline this, to power accurate search recall. So to power accurate eBay search, eBay uses item specifics, okay? I'm really underlining this. I was actually reading a lot. If you want to spend half an hour doing this, I actually spent a couple hours doing it. I'm going to be spending some more time doing it. There was a real re-emphasis on the importance of aspects, item specifics, keywords with the developers, with eBay over and over again stating how they use them for product search. And for us, that's, the buyers are coming on and they're searching. It can also be the buyers have something in the shopping cart and eBay's recommending other things. So all the information that eBay's gathering from our listings that it then uses to place our listings in search. And search has a lot of different capabilities. Now it's not just best match on eBay. Emphasizing this, and emphasizing this, that these item specifics, these keywords, these aspects are what drives eBay search. And I actually was reading a couple of bloggers from developers that attended the conference, and I'm trying to get them to be more specific with me because I pinged a couple of them saying, what exactly did eBay say? Because I didn't attend the developers conference, but what they inferred was eBay saying that a lot of sellers just really aren't using these item specifics, aspects, and keywords extensively, where they might have a few but not enough, or they might not be using them at all, which is like amazing to me. Because if you're not using them, or you're not using enough, or you're not using the ones that really apply to your items, clearly it hurts you in search, because eBay is telling the developers that this is the information that they're using from the sellers to drive search. This is the information that is in these APIs, or this information that they're giving to the developers, okay? So then the question becomes, well, what are these keywords? What are these item specifics? It's like, Kathy, because I want these in my listings. I want to make sure my listings are found. What are these? What are these aspects, these keywords that eBay wants from me in my listings? Because I want to show up in search, because very simply, it's not just the eBay adage, if it's not listed, it can't sell. It's also, if it's not listed with aspects and item specifics, it's going to have a very hard time. So I want my aspects, my item specifics, my keywords. So here's some that immediately pop into mind, which are your brand. It really is important. Now, the only time it's not important is if it's a real no-name brand, something like a Gildan shirt. Then it wouldn't be that. It would be more like the pattern or the style. It could be the sleeve. Color. People really do search black shirt, red shirt, pink dress. The color really matters. And I'm always surprised how many sellers do not put the color in the title or even in the description. There's no color. They're relying on their pictures, which is fine, but they're forgetting that computer monitors can vary a lot. So you definitely want to put a color if it has a color. Okay. Style. Is it boho? Is it hippie? It's not, and then you can also think of usage. If it's a sports thing, is it lacrosse? Is it hockey? Is it tennis? Is it indoor tennis? Is it table tennis? Is it ping pong? What is it for? And also, if it has multiple uses, could this be used indoors and outdoors? Could it be used for more than one sport if it's some kind of glove or, a part for a sport? Can I use it different ways? Is it specifically for men or specifically for women or specifically for children? But for instance, a men-women thing, is it something that's unisex, like leggings? Would it work for men and women, or is it really gender specific? So always think about that, because these are keywords. These are words that people are using to search. And these are words that eBay's using to index. I'm going to say it again and read the developers thing. They're using those keywords, those aspects, to show your item to shoppers. And if they're not there, you're not going to show so well. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say to you is, listening to these sellers at this conference was about streamlining and looking at your work process. And listing is such a huge part of our work process. And when we are listing, is the research that it takes to find really good keywords is well worth it. And it's not something that has to take hours and hours and hours. It's something, when you're learning it, particularly if you're learning a category, it is going to take you time, but it is well worth it. Why? Because I am not using good keywords, just like eBay says to developers at the developers conference. It is not going to get found, or it's going to have a hard time. It might show in some searches, but I want to show in as many searches as I possibly can. And good keywords accomplish that. Okay?